Hello and welcome to a very special episode of The Brave Room. As always, I'm your host, Juan Amiral. And Kit's on leave today. So instead, we have called the actually a real person, Alex.
Hello, this is Alex. I am real.
See,
now.
text to speech technology has gone really, really good. I can make him say whatever I want. How you doing, Alex? It's been a while since you've been on the show.
About the same as ever, not much to complain about.
That's not true, and you know it. So, we have a very special episode for you today because before we get into the things that happened this month, we have a very special interview with Fernando Loureiro from Razer. He is the senior manager of global esports at Razer, and he came on the show to talk to us about the Razer C Invitational and just esports in general. So, without further ado, roll the clip. Hello and welcome to another special interview here at the Brave Room. With me today, we have our very special guest, Fernando Loureiro from Razer. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here speaking with you. My name is Fernando, as you said, and within Razer, I work within the global sports team, specifically in charge of everything we do within tournaments. So leading our strategy for third-party tournaments, what we partner with, who we sponsor, how we activate it, the whole scope, as well as our very own events called like the Razer Invitational, as I'm sure you know very well, but I'm happy to talk about it today.
Yeah, that's like, as we're recording this, that's going on right now. How are you feeling about?
Started off yesterday. Oh, it's very excited. It's very excited. The whole lead up to the event, like there's so many elements, so many moving parts that until like things are actually up and running, it can get you like a little anxious, but everything is coming out nicely. We had some amazing action yesterday, some very strong matches between Cambodia, Myanmar, and like so many other federations. I think Thailand, Indonesia played yesterday as well. I gotta go back to the games themselves. But yeah, awesome action, very good engagement from our fan base, and looking forward to what is next.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I remember back when I was in high school, I briefly got into StarCraft. And there were all these hushed whispers. And did you know StarCraft's like a national sport in Korea? Like, people watch StarCraft tournaments on TV. And then, like, fast forward 10 years later, and now, like, the whole world is into it. Not StarCraft, I mean, but, like, this whole esports has definitely, like, shifted perspectives in the whole decade.
Yes, that's something that I've been saying in some other conversations that I have as well. Esports is not as new as we think, right? Like you can date the first tournament all the way back to like 1979 as an esports competition, and it's just the way that it has been becoming more and more mainstream, and people understanding the strength of the community it just grew so much in the last decade that we've been seeing like esports just take all the main stages and have an audience that's just massively like grown and people really trying to understand and be involved within esports and game and trying to understand this whole brave new world that we have today.
Yeah, definitely. And I think like the best sign of that is we have discussions of esports at the SEA Games.
Well, yes, not only discussions, but it's been like a medal event. It has been a medal event in the 30th edition in 2019, and it's now going to be featured again in the 31st edition of the SEA Games in Vietnam, happening later this year in May, I think. I like always to draw a parallel when we're talking about like the participation of esports in these major tournaments of like traditional sports, right? If you go back, let's take a trip back in history like 10, 15 years ago, and if somebody would tell the parents, say, hey, I want to be a skater or I want to be a surfer, like I want to compete in the Olympics, I'm going to earn like a gold medal, the parents will be like, just go find a real sport to play or go find something else, go find like a legitimate sport to play. And the reason I tell this story is that if you fast forward like 10, 15 years from that day, you had in Tokyo last year like 14, 15 years like old or even younger gold medalists standing like up high in the podium, representing the country like in such a high moment in their lives, and not only like inspiring millions of people and becoming a national hero automatically, but not only inspiring them to become skaters or surfers, but also like to like pursue their own dreams, however unconventional or different they may be from like what people perceive as normal, like at every point in time, right? And the reason that I say this, and I like to draw this parallel, is that I see esports in a similar position today, because even though the community is much larger and it's much more well known, there's still some pushback and there's still some unconventional way about like pursuing a full career like in esports. And I think that in a few years time, not 10 or 15 years, but in a few years time, we'll start to see more and more esports being featured in these major events. As you said, we have it upcoming in the SEA Games now, we have it in the Asian Games in 2022, we have it in the Pan Am Games. So it's just a movement it's on constant growth, and we start to see more and more. And when you look into the engagement, right, and if I go back to the 30th SEA Game in 2019 in Manila, it was the first time that esports was featured as a medal event in major sporting event. On the first day alone, during the game, when we streamed on our own platforms, the Razer platforms, we recorded over 1 million views and approximately 70,000. At the peak of the event, with the arena filled to max capacity, Razer streaming platforms registered over 20 million impressions and 90,000 recorded viewers. And those are just massive testaments on the size, the strength, and the level of engagement that this community has. And that's why I think we'll start to see sports more and more prominent in these major sporting events. And just as a final point for comparison here, in that event back in 2019, I think we had 5 or 6 titles featured in the esports vertical or pillar of it. Now in the 31st SEA Games this year, we have 10 events. So it almost doubled in size from one to the next in only 2 years, 2.5 years time frame, right?
And I like what you said as well about how inspiring new people and stuff, because one of my favorite things to do, occasionally ESPN will show esports, and I love scrolling through Twitter whenever this happens, because there's always a crowd of people who says, why is ESPN showing esports? They shouldn't be doing this. They're showing a proper sport. I'm like, hey, guess what, buddy? It's a proper sport now.
And it is, right? And I think there was a Nike campaign that took place not long ago, and they're talking about the whole preparation, the preparation between an esports athlete and a traditional athlete is barely different. The physical needs of preparation, the mental preparation, the whole injury prevention, the whole thing, it's very similar. It takes the same amount of effort and time and physical strain as it does for what they call traditional sports and esports. So we're going to start to debunk the whole image and perception with time. We'll see the whole differentiator factor toned down significantly, I expect.
So I was looking through the games for the Razer C Invitational, and I feel like I say this to every guest from Razer whenever we talk about Razer C Invitational, but I'm contractually obligated, in fact, to bring up that I am a big supporter of the fighting game community. But I have gotten my butt handed to me at several tournaments now, and at the same time, we understand the fighting game community is not the biggest. So my point is, Razer C Invitational is, correct me if I'm wrong, is Mobile Legends. Was there a second game there?
PUBG Mobile.
PUBG Mobile, yeah, that's it, yeah. And while it's disheartening that I will never see Guilty Gear at the Razer C Invitational, it makes sense. Mobile gaming is huge in the C market.
Yeah, I think you're getting to a very interesting point, because deciding on which games to have in any given tournament is hands down one of the biggest challenges that anybody hosting a tournament or an event has to get it right in order to succeed in doing so, right? Especially when you take into account the variety of esports titles. And not only that, you touched upon this on your question as well, it's on the category of games that you have. So PC gaming, console gaming, mobile gaming, what direction to go with. And when you put an event like that, I feel it's very easy to get it wrong, but there's a step-by-step that we usually go through that helps us always diminish the risk of not getting it right, and making sure we embrace as many people as we possibly can, putting the best event possible out there. And the way that we can do this is, first you got to take into account cultural nuances, and you got to be respectful of those. And what I mean by this, and I think you nailed it on the head when you said, I'm a fan of first person shooter games, right? And many people are. And it's not only about the size of the community, but some countries and some communities, not only they don't play, but they don't accept those games that could eventually promote or be perceived as promoting violence in a way. So you gotta be sure, and you gotta be mindful of those perceptions and those nuances, because whenever you take an event region, you gotta adapt to what the region embraces the most and is most comfortable with. So I'll say that's the first step. Second step, we gotta take into consideration the whole technical elements and level of accessibility. right? And what I mean by this is that when you take an event to Southeast Asia and you say, look, mobile gaming is massively popular here, and it is, but it's not only because it's massively popular here, it's because it's also like super accessible, and the technical requirements for you to be able to compete and play a mobile gaming is different than it is for you to play a console gaming, right? Or like a PC gaming for that matter. So when you put that together, you start like to add like these first two elements, you start to kind of tone down to a direction that you want to go with and the games you want to go for. Second, when you're talking about like a region like Southeast Asia, you're not talking about like a cohesive unity of like a space and community. You're talking about like 10 different groups, 10 different countries, each one of them with like their own perception, their own wishes, their own preferences, their own cultural nuances and so on. So you gotta, and that's why we have to work very closely with like the federations to understand even the competitors' territory that you have. So even if you're going for like mobile gaming, you might as well be left with like Wild Rift and MLBB. So what direction to go with, right? And that's when you work very closely with like their own country federations, because they have the inner information, they have like the data points to understand what is popular, what is trendy, what is happening there. Which takes me to like my third point, which is understanding what I call, and it's very important, the trend and popularity curve of any given games. How long had they been in the market? How long had they been among the top ones? Is it a passing trend? Is it here to stay? And that's when working with like the local federation, you start to garner the data points that will like help you to make a very informed decision, and sometimes like leave your emotion out of the door. And that's kind of like how you drill down to define which games to pursue. And then lastly, of course, working closely with the publishers themselves to make sure the date of the event that you put in together doesn't clash with any like of the major competitions that they have going on, because you do want your competition, your event to be the must-see event of that point in time you've decided to host it. So I hope that kind of answers your question. I know I went like a little bit off track there, but yeah, I think that's a massive challenge that we have when deciding what direction to take when choosing the games and making sure people don't feel left out when doing so.
Definitely, and I think there's also like the benefit of the two games that you did choose, Mobile Legends and PUBG, is I feel like they're on exact opposite spectrums of what they are.
Yeah, no, we feel like they complement each other well, and yet they can sit together very comfortably in the same event. They engage with two different audiences. I don't want to solve, but they kind of touch upon different styles of like gameplay that will make sure more and more people feel like embraced and excited to be a part of and watch the Razer Invitational. So I think I was really happy with the suggestion that the team like came up with, and how it worked out to work with Tencent and Mouton to actually be able to not only get those two titles approved to be a part of the event, but get those two publishers like very supportive and very engaged and very happy to make those titles a part of the Invitational themselves, and the federations as well, of course.
Yeah, like personally, I'm not a big fan of battle royale games. Like watching them is a bit like there's not a consistent level of hype, because people are like lying in wait and stuff. But MOBAs, that's a lot more hype. So I think like by having both games, like you said, they're very different audiences, so you get to maximize that reach even more. You have the chicken dinner seekers and the MLBB players, and you get quite a good spread, I guess. Yeah,
we're very happy, we're very excited. I think that the response from the federations, the initial response from the fans as well, has been great, and I'm super excited to see what the next 2 weeks will show us about the choice we've made.
So all this talk about the Razer C Invitational, could you talk a bit about like how you got to this level where, like you said, you're talking to publishers, and you're broadcasting almost at capacity to the entire region?
I think, yes, happily to talk to Razer Invitational. I hope we have enough time to do that, because it's I tend to talk a lot, so do stop me if I'm going way too off like track here. But what I think is that the way the Razer Invitational started off, right, it was all the way back in 2020, and it was originally done as a way to prepare like the region's esports teams and federations for the upcoming SEA Games. And when I say this, it's very important, because that's how like the whole Razer Invitational concept was formed. It was very successful, like for a first ever event that came out, like kind of trying to embrace the community and put like a good show out there. For a first event, it was like an astonishing success, right? But the whole idea of the Invitational is to have a foundation that's based on diversity, inclusivity, and fairness, and empower the dreams of the new generation of esports athletes, and getting people from all levels like together, gearing them up to represent that like the countries and to play and to really celebrate esports or their love for like the game. Okay, so after we had like the first event in 2020, we expanded like globally. So we had events in North America, we had in Latin America, we had in Europe, Middle East, and always like breaking barriers, being like very inclusive, bringing communities together, like really making a case to bridge the whole esports community and bringing everybody together through the Razer Invitational. And unlike traditional esports competitions, right, we are open to everybody who wants to test their mettle. So we see ourselves and we want the Razer Invitational to be a true celebration of esports. It's not a pro level competition and it's not like an amateur level competition. It's an event that's a true celebration that every single person, whatever level of engagement they have with the game, they should feel welcome and they should feel embraced to the Razer Invitational. And we will have something for you, whatever like your level and your level of interest is with a game that you love. And that's what took us to the new format that we have going on today in the Invitational that's happening, that started off yesterday here in Southeast Asia. We restructured it to mirror to the dot this whole position, this whole vision that we have. So we have what we call the National Showdown, where we have the 10 federations in Southeast Asia submitting teams to compete in PUBG and MLBB, two sports that will be featured in the SEA Games, in the upcoming SEA Games as well. But we have them to compete, kind of to show the high level of competition the event can bring and help reinforce and support the whole Olympic vision for esports. So we started talking at the beginning of this podcast. The second vertical, the second pillar of the Invitational is what we call the Open. So the Open is an open tournament that any single person can sign up a team and play, can register a team and play. So if you want to put a team together and play, you can, I can, Vanessa can. Any single person we want to be a part of this can literally sign up and compete for a chance to win the cash prize and for a chance to win like sweet Razer gears. And not only going to compete among like other players like yourself, you're going to be competing against some key KOLs as well that have lined up to play on the playoff side of the event too. So it's a whole idea to give you like an experience that you could not get anyplace else, right? And then the third pillar that we have is on the masterclasses. So masterclasses it's what the word like suggests, a workshop with some game legends like Oh My Venus, Alas, and so on, to literally give you the tips and tricks on how to bring your game up. Like, how can you become phenomenal in the game? Like, how can you make your gameplay better? How can you understand the perfect strategy or the perfect way to assemble your team or to select your heroes, or how to like play offensively or defensively and so on and so forth? Like, it's a whole idea to get those people who are starting off in the game or like have been playing for some time but they just want to take their level up. And by having these three pillars, we feel like we've embraced the entire community interested in those two games, and for them to be able to come in and just celebrate their love for the games, whatever like level they're at. And that's what like Razer Invitational looks like today. And hopefully we're going to keep on enhancing the whole flag and making it better on every iteration that we put out there.
And you brought up something really interesting there about the whole like essentially masterclass system where you learn, because I think that's the one big difference between esports and traditional sports, I guess, is, you know, I watch, I don't know, let's say Usain Bolt run. I'm never gonna get there. I'm 20 years a bit too late to get there. But you know, when you watch, for example, someone play Mobile Legends, there is that skill level is within your grasp.
Definitely, right? But one thing that we need to put in here is that gaming is not only a sport, it's also a lifestyle, right? And that's probably why you have this room to host masterclasses where you can introduce people to this new lifestyle, which can serve as either like a mental escape that you can have like out of a stressful week, or just a place that you go to like relax and enjoy and connect with your community and people like-minded like yourself, right? And yes, masterclasses can serve as a way to introduce you to the game, can serve as a way to enhance your skill set, something that some traditional sports won't be able to do, and something that has a much longer longevity when compared to traditional sports, as using running as you put out there, as you use it as an example.
Just as you're saying it, like the thought is like becoming more and more prominent in my head, I guess, is that a huge part of the popularity of esports is the idea that this is an attainable goal. Like,
absolutely,
they're not demigods.
Oh, exactly, and it's something that, yeah, it's what you said. It's a level of accessibility, right? And that's something that we see the whole incredible growth in popularity and the rise in popularity and widespread of like esports and gaming has a lot to do with this. It's accessible. It's within everybody's grasp despite of age, and it can serve both as a lifestyle as well as something for you to take much more seriously as an athlete or as a career itself. So it's something that it is a very welcoming space for everybody. It's just a matter to find what suits your style and get on with it.
Yeah, and I think like one thing you haven't brought up is also the commentary side plays a huge part in this as well. Like, to use the running example again, the 100-meter sprint, they're not teaching you how to do a 100-meter sprint. The commentators for that event aren't going to be like, oh, actually, if you angle your foot like this, then you get a maximum lift off that first kick. Whereas esports commentators, a lot of the good ones, they do break it down for you in a way that you could get there too.
Well, they help you. They help you consume the broadcast. They help you consume the event, right? So, I think, and I spoke about this some of the time. It takes a lot on the educational side of things as well, because we gotta be mindful about the generations clash. So when we spoke before about like this whole sometimes pushback that you have when somebody says, "Hey, like I want to be a gamer, I want to be like an esports athlete," and something on those lines, and you might hear like a pushback for like somebody of the older generation. It's not only because it's a perception issue. It's also like a lack of understanding of what the esports industry is all about. So on what you said here, I think, as you said, the good commentators, they have it like they have it right, like they knock that out of the park, is on the things of when you're streaming something, you're communicating with like a wide audience. Not everybody is going to be fully aware and knowledgeable about the sport that they're saying. So they have a mission there. They have to make sure everybody feels welcome, everybody can follow what is happening on the screen. So the whole educational piece and being more mindful and explaining how everything is happening, why some things are happening, why some things are not happening, and what the strategy is being done, and the things that people are putting out there, it helps people understand, and it serves as this educational piece that even the ones maybe like with the generational clash or just not as much into gaming will be more inclined to learn more and will have like a better first immersion in the space. So I think they do play a very strategic and a very important role, because they're the first ones to welcome you to the space and to introduce you to the space. So they have that mission, that responsibility to make sure you feel welcome and you feel and that you understand what you're watching.
Yeah, definitely. Like commentators like that are pretty much how I got into fighting games, because it went from, oh my god, I could never do that, to, oh, that's actually way more manageable than I thought.
Yeah, exactly. If it's going back to like your FPS games, if you just sit down and watch broadcast, you might see like those very sudden like moves and change of direction, like so many things happen at the same time. You're gonna be like, how can I possibly manage all that? And then when you watch like somebody stream, like the commentators that can actually explain to you what exactly is being done, like, okay, I could eventually do this. Like this sounds like fun, right? And it becomes more out of the blue. It becomes more accessible. So.
Yeah, it walks you through the thinking process, which is what a lot of people don't realize is a huge part of any esport. Is
precisely
learn how to think for that sport, and then everything will sort itself out after that. You also made a point about KOLs in the community and stuff, and we know Razer has their own Team Razer athletes. So what kind of role do they play in the C Invitational?
So I think the whole Team Razer athletes, as you said, so Team Razer is a brand within Razer. It's like a vertical within Razer, within the esports department, like my department, where those are like the competitive gaming that we support, right? So those are the teams that we sponsor and partner with, the athletes that we support and partner with, and so on and so forth. But the whole idea that we have here is not only about the role that they play with like the Southeast Asia Invitational they're putting together now, it's the role that we play within their own like lives and development as an athlete, right? So when you look into the Razer Light motto, right, for gamers by gamers, it's a company that really walks the talk. So it's really how it's not only about like, oh, we have like this team that's up and winning, up and competing like in such a high level, let's put our brand behind them. We see our mission, and I'm talking like from point of view as those are people competing like in the highest possible level, right? So by making products for them is not only about how we can make their own gameplay better and give them the very possible, like the best chance to win by putting the very best products in their hands, is also understanding for them what works, what doesn't, so we can keep on improving ourselves. It's this endless search for excellence, both them in a competitive landscape as well as ours in putting like the best products out there like in their hands. And I think that's what's so important when you look into like the whole Team Razer movement. Within the Razer Invitational, the role that those athletes play, it's kind of like as ambassadors of the brand, is the representing the whole excellence point of view and inspiring the aspiring athletes on how to become and how to perform like the highest possible level. And that's a kind of like integration of experience that I see them playing the Razer Invitational. The whole Razer Invitational is not all about bringing like pro players to play. If you think about it, it's more like grassroots based than it is like as traditional professional teams playing the Razer Invitational, right? But what we want to do is making sure that they feel inspired by the athletes within Team Razer to be the very best versions of themselves, right? And that's what, like when we're putting constantly seeking feedback from Team Razer athletes on how to develop and coming like with the products and making sure that the product really serves their needs and put them in a better and better position to compete in their own like global level. Now, our commitment to athletes is not only product based, right? We always look into them, how can we support and make them a much better athlete individual themselves? How can they better prepare for this? And that takes me back to like, I think I said in the beginning of this conversation, we're talking about the whole preparation that esports athletes have versus traditional sports athletes, as people put it, and that there's like a very small differentiator. So we recently launched our like wellness initiative, which is called Champions Start From Within, which is honestly to serve as this assets or like tools for athletes to find a guide and find a way to become the better version of themselves. And we have like a wide area of tools among like nutrition and sleep therapy and physical preparation, because it's not only, and people have the perception, right, that for you to become a professional gamer, all you have to do is sit back and relax and play like hours on end on the game that you want to become an athlete of. And it's so much more than that. It's so much mental stress, so much mental strength that you need to put behind it, so much strict and disciplined regimen of practicing the whole like injury prevention and how can you recover from like eventual injuries, and posture and sleep and nutrition and hydration. So it's so much elements through this, which is what we're trying to sustain our athletes with and without like Team Razer, by building the whole wellness campaign to support them in their journey as professional athletes. So I know I went like a little bit off track here again, not only on the Team Razer athletes role within the Razer Invitational, but what is our relationship with the athletes that we support. It goes beyond sponsoring, putting a brand behind the backs or on the shoulders, but it goes understand what the needs are, both from a competition standpoint as well as like the whole supporting role, and how can we be there to support them be better and be phenomenal. And that's what we strive to do, right? And how we strive to do it.
I do want to bring up something about that wellness program, because you talk about that. So first started getting into fighting games, my hands would get really, really sore, real bad. And so like that was always how I ended my sessions, just my hands in pain. So I actually had I got myself a set of like those mini like wrist weights and did like wrist and arm exercises to like build up that muscle strength. So yeah, it's definitely a lot more like, you do have to take care of yourself a lot more than just playing the game all day.
No, like 100%, right? And I think that's a very important, it takes education, but we see a growth in that kind of concern for like professional athletes all over the place. They are understanding, are building resources to help them navigate through their whole foundation of competing in high level. It's not only about the physical play. There's a data point. that the average retirement age for sports athletes, I forgot if it's 24 or 25 years old. That's insanely young.
Yeah.
That's insane. It brings you to like such a premature end to your like athlete career, especially when you compare to other sports, as we've been doing throughout this podcast, right? So I think being aware of all these other factors and elements that influentiate on how you navigate through high-level competition and how you can manage from stress to physical strain and all of that really helps make you more durable, make you compete in a higher level, and therefore win more and be more successful in the career path that you've chosen, right? So I think this is an aspect of gaming that we are it's very close to like our heart within the esports team within Razer. It's something that we're putting out there for our athletes now, and we're very excited about it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think we're at about time for now. So thank you so much for this conversation. This is really, really great.
I appreciate you inviting me to speak here at the Brave Room. I hope the viewers are gonna love the content. I truly enjoyed myself speaking with you.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, no, by the time this episode goes up, I don't know if the Invitational will still be going on, but I hope it goes well for you guys, because like I said, esports is on the up and up.
I appreciate it. I hope it goes well. So I'm really hoping that.
I mean, you guys have been working real hard on it, so I'm sure it will.
Yes, we have, and I'm sure you will as well. It's just until it does, it's you're like on your toes, right? But I'm sure it's gonna come out nicely, and I can't wait to catch on this episode like a little later on the Brave Room.
Definitely, and now we will go back to whatever the rest of this week's episode is.
Anyways, so esports aside, now that we're doing a monthly show, we do have to go over the absolute mess of things that happened this month. So I'd like to point out the first of the absolute mess of things that happened this month, which is Chinese New Year, as the added testament to how time is simultaneously going too quickly and too slowly at the same time. That was this month.
It was. Well, technically it was last month, but...
I should point out this episode is a week late because I was sick last week and could not speak. Throat hurty. Very, very hurty. In fact, I'm still coming off the tail end of it, but at least I can speak now. Anyways, what were we on about? We were on about February. Right. So, somehow, we have two major news stories we're going to cover today. First of all, the first one just happened, which was the Pokemon Direct. A direct benefit of us delaying the episode is we got to catch the Pokemon Direct and talk about it on this episode.
Yep, we did.
Happy Pokemon Day, Alex. How was your Pokemon Day?
I kind of forgot it was Pokemon Day, to be honest with you, especially since I spent the morning doing a Digimon con.
Oh yeah, today was the fated day. This is the eclipse. It'd be really funny if it turns out, there was a special Metabots live stream being run on Clubhouse or something at the same time. All the monster collectors today, there is news today for them.
Yeah, anyway, I sort of just assumed that the Direct would be like, I don't know, DLC for Pokemon Legends or something like that, but no! We're getting a new game by the end of the year.
Yeah! That was... Like, we joked about this in the office group chat where someone was like, new gen? Ha ha ha, as if. And then it was. And the worst part is they took so long to confirm that it was a new gen. Like, they did that whole, like, trailer with the live action god, like, stumbling around and all that stuff. And showing... I would like to read you a quote. So, when Pokemon Legends came out, I told my friends that I really like this battle system. This is an amazing battle system, and you will not sell me on the next Pokemon gen unless you confirm that it uses the new gameplay stuff from Arceus, right?
Yeah. I
looked at the teaser for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which at this point it just sounds made up. Like we're really running out of double names here. And they showed a little bit of gameplay footage, right, of like the backgrounds. And I said to myself, this game looks so there's no way it doesn't use the Arceus. That is a hideous looking game. Admittedly, it looks a little bit better than RCS, which is still the most hideous and yet one of the best games ever made.
Well, yeah, I can't deny that. The graphics weren't its strong point.
Here's the thing though, and a lot of people talk smack about RCS for being hideous. Here's the thing, still would recommend playing it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I am willing to say it's okay for it to be, what's the word? I guess not bad, just sort of mediocre looking, because at least it was something new. That's not something you get with Pokemon a lot.
Exactly. It's one of those things, I'm not trying to be mean to Legends Arceus. It's just that, have you ever played Game Dev Tycoon?
No.
Okay, so Game Dev Tycoon was, you make games and you assign sliders, to apportion resources to developing your game. So it'd always be graphics, sound, gameplay kind of stuff, right? And you could allocate more resources to one thing by lowering resources to other things. So for example, if I pushed sound all the way up, the value of sound at max was different depending on what the level of gameplay was. So if gameplay was at 50%, it would have less than if gameplay was 25%. So this looks like they pushed all the way down for those visuals. That was not a priority.
I know it's wrong to assume things, but I just keep assuming those rumors that Game Freak they're just having trouble adapting to HD gaming. A lot.
I would believe that. It definitely feels like, I don't know why we're talking about Arceus, but yeah, it also feels like Arceus was a lab experiment, and so they were like, well, yeah, you can't, here are the things you're allowed to test for: new gameplay, new world, blah blah blah. But graphics wasn't a thing they were allowed to test for, so no, you don't get extra resources for the graphics. It has to hit that January launch date because we gotta get Scarvar out.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, those new starters, how about them?
I like them. They're cool.
You and I have very different opinions on this. They look... Okay, so look. Okay, I've been a Pokemon fan a long time. And the longer you've been a Pokemon fan, the more Fakemon designs you see.
Yeah.
Those are some Fakemon designs. I swear I have seen all three of them in some capacity. It's I think it's the shade of green they used for the cat as well. All Fakemon use that shade of green.
I don't know. I mean, some of those Fakemon, they look really damn good nowadays, and it's weird. I guess I should go over them individually, just because I have slightly different opinions on all of them. So the first one, the cat, Sprigatito, I think it's called.
Oh yeah.
Spanish. It's weird because I really like it. I think it's really cute. But that's really weird for me because I remember when I saw Litten, before any of its evolutions came out, I thought Litten was just meh, just really average. It's just a cat, but I don't know. So maybe it's biased because I am a big fan of the grass types. I don't know why. Green is my favorite color, but...
It's not a creative color though.
Yeah, it's not. But for some reason, I find this green cat a lot more creative than the black and red cats. And I don't know why. Maybe it's just the expression. It's all cute and happy. As opposed to Litten that looked, very dry and emo looking.
Yeah, okay, well, I didn't like Litten either. But I saw Sprigatito, you know what my thought was? Oh Lord, the porn.
Yeah, that's the other bit. Please, for love of God, do not turn into Incineroar.
It's gonna be Incineroar with Salandit's body. Oh, this is Salazzle, sorry. Yeah, Salazzle.
Honestly, I don't even mind it being furry porn, just don't look like Incineroar. Thing is, I don't mind Pokemon looking humanoid or if furries want to do whatever with them, but Incineroar's proportions look so off to me. It's so top-heavy, its hands are so stupidly big. It literally looks like a guy in a fursuit.
Not just any guy in a fursuit, it's Zangief in a fursuit.
I don't know, I'm just not a fan of Zangief in a fursuit. Admittedly, though, it did look a bit better in Smash. I don't know if Smash's model was just better, but it did look better in Smash, I'll give it that. But yeah, guy in a fursuit. You want to make it humanoid? Fine. You want to make it, not humanoid? Better. But just don't do that again.
You know it's gonna happen, though. Oh god, I just saw art of Sprigatito as Neko Arc.
That was the first thing I thought of when I saw it. It's just like Neko Arc 420. That's what I'm naming mine.
Yeah, no, I'm going Brunyu. Oh man, but yeah, that's.
So yeah,
I love
The
that one Twitter post that was just like a photo of tape on the cat's paws, like please pause on the ground.
and the other thing I'm seeing a lot of it besides all of those is just loads of weed jokes. Just loads.
It's got a pot leaf on its face. You can't avoid it.
I'm not against it. Like I
Well-
said, Neko Arc 420.
Yeah. I count at least 3 weed leaves on this cat's face. So one nitpick I do have about the cat designs, and this was brought up by realistic Pokemon artist RJ Palmer, is you look up Sprigatito, you look up what's the Pokemon that turns into Zoroark?
Zorua.
Yeah. And then you look up Vulpix. And just look at how they handle those proportions between these 3 Pokemon. I really don't like the Zorua style design, you know.
Why is it too like cartoonish or?
I mean, that sounds like a stupid complaint with Pokemon, but yes, I like Vulpix's proportions. I like the more normal animal proportions. Like,
I mean, I'm just looking at them now, and I get what you mean, but I just don't see it as big of a difference, I guess.
I don't like. I think I've said it on this show before, actually. That yeah, no. I like my mundane Pokemon. I genuinely like Basculin. I know people hate Basculin, but no, man, Basculin's great. So yeah,
I don't know. I just find Basculin's too forgettable, but I do get what you mean in terms of Gen 1. Like a lot of people nowadays say, "Oh, Gen 1's so bland and so simple," but no, Gen 1 has charm to it in its simplicity. Like you can kind of tell this is just them saying, "Let's just take an animal and see how we can make it."
Oh yeah, my favorite,
but still keeping it an animal.
My favorite is there was a post going around of animals, Pokemon and the animals that inspired them, and there is straight up a bird that looks like Pidgey. Like it's a Japanese breed of pigeon, I think.
Yeah. Honestly, a lot of the Gen 1 has some of the most interesting takes on how they adapted the animals into Pokemon. Like, there's a lot of heavy speculation with the modern Pokemon, but I don't know, Gen 1's almost weirdly subtle about it.
Yeah.
Like, so many of the Pokemon are based on things like, yokai, and there's even stuff like I always find it interesting, Poliwag. The reason it has the spiral is because the tadpoles have see-through intestines, and it's like, it's interesting. It's a cool way of doing it.
Yeah, it's really, really cool, and it does make me sad to see Pokemon move away from that. And because the reason why, what makes something look like a fake mon versus the air quotes original Pokemon aesthetic is just how much of it is carried by the cartoon art style. The older Pokemon designs would work without the cartoon art style. Whereas Fuecoco, the fire starter, that is hard carried by that art style.
Yeah, that's true. I probably wouldn't see a real Fuecoco in real life, but that being said, I do think Fuecoco is a pretty creative Pokemon. It's a crocodile combined with a chili pepper.
Yeah,
that's a cool idea. And you can kind of see that Spanish influence in it, since this region's supposed to be Spain or whatever.
Yeah, I gotta say, Fuecoco is my favorite of the 3 designs. I would like to. I don't know how you're gonna segue into this, so I'm gonna segue into it for you, which is the ongoing conspiracy theory that all fire types are based off of the Chinese zodiac.
Part of me honestly wants to make an article debunking this to an extent, because, okay, I'll acknowledge maybe it's true, maybe they did that, but I just find it so far-fetched that Game Freak, since day one, or even starting in a few generations ago, just went down a checklist of saying, oh, so we need to go get the sheep or the ox or whatever now. It just seems... And granted, it's not just the Zodiac thing. They have them for grass and water types as well. They say all the grass types are based off extinct animals and all the water types are based off weapons. And I just think it's just an enormous-ass stretch. The way I see it, the 12 animals in the Zodiac are some of the most common animals in all of fiction. they're also some of the most marketable animals in all of fiction. So I don't think it's too much of a stretch to say they just picked out these animals, and they just picked up these animals, and by coincidence they happen to be the Zodiac animals.
Yeah,
Some of them arguably don't fit. Like, Cyndaquil's not a mouse. And people are gonna say, oh, it's called the Fire Mouse Pokemon. It's not a f***ing mouse, though.
I'm gonna be real with you. I had this exact same conversation in my Discord group. They were like, "It's called the Fire Mouse," and I'm like, "Oh, boo-hoo."
Yeah, the thing is, Blastoise is called the Shellfish Pokemon. Is it an oyster? Is Blastoise an oyster now?
Maybe that's what the ois is. It wasn't tortoise. It was ois as an oyster.
Well, there we go. Maybe. And Fennekin's a fox, not a dog. Close enough? I mean, I guess, but this brings me up to my next sort of problem. Now, Fuecoco has come along, and it's a crocodile. I'm not gonna argue with anyone here. It's a crocodile. Its name, Fuecoco, comes from the Spanish words fuego, fire, and crocodilo, crocodile. It's a fire crocodile.
I'd like to point out its Pokedex name is also Fire Croc Pokemon.
Yeah, I guess so. But now people... Now I figured, okay, we can finally put this thing to rest. It wasn't a thing. But no, people are like, oh, but it's probably going to drop its legs and become a snake. Or even better, a nickname for male alligators is bull, so it represents the ox. It's a crocodile.
I gotta say
it's not a snake or an ox, it's a crocodile.
That last one is... You could join the NBA with reach like that.
Yeah. Here's the best one. Some people are saying, oh yeah, it's a crocodile, but crocodiles and snakes are both reptiles, so it's close enough. And this has just got me thinking, like, you guys, you would just put any animal into the Zodiac if it's just close enough. Fox or dog, close enough. Reptile or snake, close enough, apparently. Like, it just makes me wonder if, like, a bat was announced as the next fire starter, which Zodiac would you say it's close enough to? The horse? They're both mammals. Like, it just strikes me that these guys are so desperate to make this a thing when it just doesn't seem like it was ever a thing.
I'm trying to think, like, your whole grass Pokemon are extinct. Grass Pokemon starters have a higher case of I don't even know what they're supposed to be.
So this one's technically already been debunked because the Ken Sugimori or someone high up in Pokemon have outright just said that the Bulbasaur line are meant to be frogs. Like, not prehistoric frogs, just frogs.
Yeah.
So they're not extinct. At least as far as I know, frogs are not extinct yet. We're getting there, but not yet.
If you're listening to this episode 5 years in the future, check back on this.
Like, Chikorita, okay, it's a Brachiosaurus.
Is it, though? This is the thing, right? What the f*** is Chikorita? I don't know.
Meganium is obviously some kind of sauropod with a flower around it. Trico, I don't know, I'd say Sceptile is still a gecko. It's just a really big gecko, but I can see how someone could say it looks like a dinosaur, so whatever. Torterra, same thing. It's a tortoise, but okay, maybe you can argue it's an Ankylosaurus.
Okay, I draw the line there. Torterra...
That's what some people say. It's an Ankylosaurus. Or
it's
something like
literally the name. Turtwig. Torterra.
Yes, I know, Torterra. Serperior is just a snake. And that's the thing, especially with the grass types. Like, any living animal today has a prehistoric equivalent. And the thing is, with Pokemon, when they evolve, how do you make a Pokemon seem evolved? You just make it bigger and tougher looking. And prehistoric animals tend to be bigger and tougher looking than modern animals. So, yeah, of course, maybe they look prehistoric, but I don't think there was ever a trend. I don't think Serperior is based on any prehistoric snake. It's just a regular snake.
No, it's a rich snake. It's like that.
It's a rich snake. It's a rich aristocrat snake. Chestnut, I don't even know. Maybe the people say it's a Glyptodont, maybe. I'm calling bullshit on that because I think it was Ken Sugimori did straight up say Gen 6 was based on RPG classes. There you go. Decidueye is just an owl. I've seen
Or-
people saying, it's a ghost type because it's based on an extinct owl. No, it's a ghost type because owls are associated with ghosts.
Actually,
Word
I've heard the Decidui one has some water because it is specifically a stilt owl, which has the same stupidly long legs that Decidui has, and
okay.
and
Alright, maybe then.
it was
but-
native to Hawaii before it went extinct, which is where Alola. So that one has a bit more ground than the others.
I guess so, but I don't know. I always heard it was just because owls are associated with the undead.
Yeah.
I don't know. It could be both.
Anyways,
And Rillaboom's a gorilla.
yeah,
They're still alive for now.
for now, shout out to David Attenborough for all your hard work in keeping this theory. David Attenborough is stopping this theory from coming true.
Thank
He's like
God
Spider-Man in
he's
Spider-Man. He's like Spider-Man in Spider-Man 2 stopping the train from going. Anyways, we gotta make a move on. Quaxley is literally just Donald Duck. It's
Yeah,
Kingdom Hearts Donald
Pretty
Duck,
much it. Little anime Donald Duck.
which is just Kingdom Hearts Donald Duck. I had a friend say he looks like Donald Trump because he's got like the little thing. No, we've already got Donald Trump in Pokemon form. Don't be greedy. We've got that fucking rat from Alola.
True. Quaxley, I think, left the least impression of me of the three, but I mean, I still think he's quite cute. I like the little hats, and yeah, I do like the theory going around that he might turn into like some sort of conquistador, or I don't know. I kind of like the idea that maybe he could be like a bullfighter. I don't know.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, when you say conquistador, I'm laughing because this adorable duckling is responsible for colonializing South America.
I mean, that's what people are saying. Oh, he'll be some sort of like, I don't know, dude with a sword, and I guess the only dude with a sword people can think of from Spain is Conquistador.
Yeah, to be fair, that's close enough. But yeah, no, that's pretty hilarious.
I don't know.
Please send your fan art of Quaxley colonizing South America to benedict@gamebraves.com. But yeah, no, I feel like bird Pokemon are the Pokemon I'm most sensitive to the art style change of. Because bird, like, okay, for those of you who don't know, like, I dabble a lot in reading, like, animal journals and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, like, bird anatomy is hard. Every bird's anatomy is being very, like, you move a slider too much to one side, that entire design's gonna fucking break. So just like seeing Quaxley as a baby looks cute, you know, it's got the big head, but it's just, I feel we've done this already. We've got the Pokemon that turns to Braviary, we've got what else we got?
Yeah, I do get what you mean. Like, it's weird to me, while I do like the designs, it is weird to me that for the first time we've gotten free Pokemon designs that have sort of been done already in a way. Like,
Yeah.
so we already have the starter cat, and we have lots of cats in Pokemon in general. We have a crocodile with a Totodile, and we have a water duck. I mean, it wasn't some very memorable water duck, but we have two water ducks, Psyduck and the other one.
Yeah, we do. Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. Yeah. But
This will be the second water type bird starter. I mean, different type of bird, of course, but
yeah.
I think they've managed to keep them fresh despite all that. But yeah.
I don't know, I'll wait for the evolutions to come in because, like,
Yeah, true.
I feel like
Who knows,
a lot of Pokemon designs now are about the final evolution. It's about how you get to the final evolution to make sense. I wish this game spent another year in the oven though.
Yeah, it does seem weird it's getting announced so soon after Legends drops.
Yeah.
Like, you figured they'd want a bit of cooldown time. I've seen some people point out that, they probably have different teams working on them, and yeah, they probably do, but, still.
But yeah, you could have, the market is still on cooldown. You could have used that time to make your game not look like ass.
The little we've seen of, Scarlet and Violet, it looks okay. A lot of people are saying they think it looks better than not Sword and Shield, Pokemon Legends, although that's not a high barrier.
Again, yeah, that is not a high bar at all. We'll see. One last thing before we drop out of the Pokemon talk is, once again, my bingo card was proven wrong. No Pokken Tournament Revelator. I am sad. Game Freak, what the hell? I mailed you $5 like 2 months ago. Where's my Pokken sequel, you cowards?
I wish they would I honestly wish they would bring it back or keep it going. I mean, a Pokemon fighting game just seems like such a good idea.
You know what's bad about how the legacy of Pokken? They explicitly used it to market Pokemon Unite. The trailer announcing Pokemon Unite contained a bunch of Pokken footage.
Ouch.
To show that people like playing multiplayer Pokemon games together. So the only footage they had of people next to each other playing a Pokemon game was Pokken. That's it for the Pokemon thing. Also, the quick Digimon Con update, so you people don't think we're overly biased. Digimon Survive is still alive. Trust me, don't worry about it. Here is a shaky clip to prove it is still alive.
Being a bit more optimistic, it does seem like it's at least entering the final stages of development. Like, if it's being sent out to the ESRB, which was reported a few months back, it means they must have some kind of working build of it at least.
Oh yeah, and the game-changing developers, that suddenly makes so much sense on the delays. It'll come out, it'll probably be good, but I will never stop making fun of this game for being trapped in limbo. It was supposed to come out before I went to study in the UK. I have graduated, and am now entering my third year of work. So anyways, we don't usually cover indie games on this podcast, but I do want to talk about this small indie game that I've been playing lately.
Sure.
It's a small, tiny game, and I liked it enough that it should get its own segment. You've heard this game called Elden Ring?
Yeah, very small indie game, no budget at all.
No budget at all. I have been hooked on Elden Ring. When we got early access for it, right? We were among the companies that got slightly under a week to play the game before the review embargo. I had 3 10-hour sessions of Elden Ring. Like, my day was wake up, order lunch, eat lunch, Elden Ring, go to bed at 1 a.m.
Yikes, that reminds me of my Persona 5 run.
Yeah, and here's the thing though, game is good. Game is so good. Good lord, that is a good game. Like, I don't even know where to start with it. So many years ago, I joked with my friend about how I like Dark Souls 2, which is like the black horse of the Soul series. It was my first Dark Souls game, and it had this really cool feature where walk in any direction, there's an area with its own story and its own boss fight that you have to deal with. That is Elden Ring. Like, I used to joke, like, I would love a Dark Souls 2 too, which was, the spirit of Dark Souls 2 but with modern Souls features. And that's literally what Elden Ring is. It literally goes, here's the starting area, walk in any direction you want, just get what you want. There's a bunch of bosses everywhere. During the demo period, I was infuriated because I had a bunch of moments where I would be like, okay, this area looks clear, I think I've done everything in this area, and there's like one small grayed out corner that I haven't been to. And then after the embargo for the demo preview came out, I watched other people's videos. They go to that grayed out corner, entire dungeon. You missed the entrance to an entire dungeon. There were 2 bosses in there. It was all that kind of stuff. And that's pretty much, Elden Ring is great. Like, I feel bad for the games that came out the same time as it.
I haven't played it. It's not really my thing, but yeah, it's a big ass deal. I mean, I can't deny that.
It's like the most, and it's also by Souls standards, this is the most mainstream attention a Souls game has gotten. Like, Sekiro came close, but 1, I don't particularly consider Sekiro a Souls game. That's a hill I'm willing to die on. And 2, it's just like, somehow the powers of Jeff Keighley and r/Elden Ring have launched the hype so high that I'm seeing way more people say, like, I don't usually like Souls games, but you guys are all talking about Elden Ring so much I want to try it. And then they get their ass kicked by Burial Tree Watchdog, and then they throw a tantrum about it and post a scrub quote.
Yeah. See, this is where I'm smart. You can't end up dying at Elden Ring if you don't play Elden Ring.
Yeah, the answer is to not play. It's like, I like it, but it's also funny seeing people discover what has been long running in the Souls community. Like, one of them is...
No worries. It's the same thing with Shin Megami Tensei. Like, when you have new people come up and it's way harder than they think it is.
Yeah. What's funny is that I've only ever heard about the difficulty of Shin Megami Tensei. So, yeah. So, your attitude towards Elden Ring was my attitude towards SMT5. where I was like, hell no, I'm not gonna touch SMT5. That game looks cool as shit. I'm not gonna play it. But yeah, so like with Elden Ring, you know, all the Souls games have that template message system where it's a bunch of pre-written templates, and then you can put in stock phrases as well. So it's like left ahead, or you know, treasure ahead, or beware of enemy. And so my favorite one is there's a blank. You can also put like, I can't remember the grammar term for it, but you can also put like connector words basically. So people put tongue but hole. And this has been, for as long as I have been playing Souls games, this has been a common message. I go over the weekend, I see people complaining on Twitter and subreddits being like, why is every message in Elden Ring tongue but hole? Or people acting like they just discovered it, be like, oh my god, tongue but hole is so funny. And it's just like, yeah, it is hilarious, first of all. And people like, I saw people legitimately complaining, saying that the message system was being abused because people would leave messages on cliff sides saying things like, try rolling.
What do you expect with that kind of system?
Yeah, no, but that's here's one of the things, like, I'm trying to be sympathetic to new players because you obviously weren't expecting it. Like, why would you expect it, right? But as someone who's been playing Souls games for like, what, 10 years now, I'm just like, haha, look! Dude, my first death in Elden Ring was because I saw a cliff with the message, try jumping on it. And because it was a pre-release build, I thought surely no one could have left a malicious message, right? And so I jumped, and I was like, what the hell, I died! That's just part of the experience. Also, I don't know if you know this, but Souls games have these things called illusory walls. They are walls that when you attack, they disappear and reveal a hidden room. In Dark Souls 3, there's an entire area of the game, and one of the hardest boss fights in that game, behind an illusory wall. So, Elden Ring, sure enough, every wall has a message in front of it that says illusory wall ahead or try attacking. And at first I thought, haha, there's no, like, there were no illusory walls in the beta. So I was like, haha, you know, they just put this in because there's a joke. Then I randomly attacked a wall and it disappeared. So now I am anxiously attacking every wall I see. Also, Dark Souls 2 made it even worse. Dark Souls 2 being my first Souls game was so bad on a formative level. Because after the Ruined Sentinels, which was my first major roadblock boss fight, there is a room with, I think, 4 to 6 illusory walls in them. So now I don't trust anything. Every room I go to, I have to attack every wall, because even if the room already has a wall, I think to myself, but what if there's more though? So yeah, that's the thing. And this game has swamps. Lots of swamps. Miyazaki loves his poison swamps. And not all the swamps are poisonous. I found one poisonous swamp and I cannot find it again on the map. We had to cut a gag from the review where I wanted to go looking for I wanted to have a poison swamp gag and I couldn't find it to record the footage. And I was complaining that I was being swamp lighted. Because there are multiple swamps in the game, but not all of them are Miyazaki brand poison swamps. Some of them are just nice, clear swamps. But then there was one that was poisonous and I don't know where it is. And Fadil from Gamerweka is texting me, telling me he found it, but won't tell me where it is. And I'm just like, I need to know.
Look it up.
This was before the game was out. There was nowhere to look it up. But yeah, no, Elden Ring is great. The boss fights are all really good, and that game deserves all the praise it gets, but it deserves all the criticism as well. Oh my god, that game does not run on PC.
Oh, that bad again?
It's not cyberpunk bad. Like, it's got frame stuttering issues, crashes, a bunch of that stuff. Here's the thing though, from games, this isn't meant to be a defense of it, because I think if you sell a game on PC, it should work on PC. You know, it's an extreme take, but I'm willing to stand by it.
Yeah.
But also, Souls games have never run on PC.
Well, like I said, I'm not trying to excuse it. They should run properly, but you can definitely tell that a lot of these guys, they develop it for the consoles first and then the PC second.
Well, here's the thing. That is 100% the case. Dark Souls 1 did not release on PC at launch. Fans begged to put it on PC, and then they did. And then it didn't run on PC. And then a guy had to make a mod that fixed the game on PC. And it became common knowledge, like, hey, if you buy Dark Souls 1, get the mod with it that makes the game playable. Dark Souls 2 then went on to have a problem because item durability in that game was tied to your frame rate. And so if you were running the game at 60 FPS, your items were decaying into dust.
Why would you program it like that?
Just a quirk of the engine. Dark Souls 3, to my knowledge, I don't think it had any PC issues. Don't hold me to that, but I'm pretty sure it had PC issues. Just because Elden Ring has issues and it's running the same engine. I don't know about Sekiro. I think Sekiro worked on PC. But yeah, so it's one of those things where, like, yes, Elden Ring absolutely should have run on PC. But at the same time, look at the track record. We were never gonna get there.
From what I understand, that is kind of a thing with a lot of Japanese developers.
Yeah.
A lot of them, it's console first and then PC second.
Yeah, because there's just too many variables to account for on PC. That's the other thing. It's got stupidly high PC specs. I'm not a PC technical man, so I can't talk about it in detail. But my understanding is it needs gigawatts and a fusion reactor GPU. That's rough. Considering the game is not that pretty either. Like, I saw its requirements compared to Red Dead Redemption 2, which is, a beautiful game. It's funny just seeing them side by side like that. Elden Ring is a good looking game, but it's not that good looking. It is carried by art direction, not any kind of, like, graphical prowess. So yeah, one last thing before we get out of here is that the game is satisfying. Like, the fact that my biggest problem with open world games is, what are you looking for when you're exploring the world? Genshin Impact, it's chests, rupee, a lot of games, a lot of open world games, it's side quests and all that stuff. Elden Ring says no, none of that. What do you get when you explore? You get a boss fight. There's these things called minor trees, which are like smaller versions of that god tree that you see in the background from Berserk. I was like, ooh, so you can actually go up to the minor trees. Let's go up to the minor tree. There was a boss fight there.
Okay, sounds about right.
There was an tree avatar. He's just hanging out there. I went walking in the woods. Giant bears started coming after me. I went walking in the plains. A knight on horseback had a health bar. I decided to go at night. A second knight on horseback appeared. It is the most, like, despite the genre shift, it is somehow laughably honest to the Souls formula. So yeah, oh my god, I love this game. I want to take time off just to play more of it, really. Also, yeah, Miura, please read other manga other than Berserk. These references are getting out of hand.
Do you mean Miyazaki?
Oh, sorry, no, not. I keep mixing them up because I keep talking about them. Yeah. So Miyazaki, please read other manga other than Berserk. These references they're getting big out of hand. Guts is literally in the game now. He is a wolf knight with a great sword, and his left arm is conspicuously missing. Like, it is always covered by a cloak. There is what I believe to be a very touching tribute to Miura in the game. It's a hill full of swords with one huge sword with an inscription on it that talks about a single knight who quested for vengeance. And a lot of people are always just like, oh, not everything's a Berserk reference. But sometimes it is, though.
I mean, that would seem like a very fitting tribute.
Yeah, because in Berserk, there's the Hill of Swords, which was the blacksmith kid. After the eclipse, he makes a sword for everyone who died, and and puts them on a hill like that. So yeah, it makes sense. But yeah, February was a busy month. Remember, this podcast is now on a monthly schedule, third Thursday of every month. So, if you like this, don't forget to, leave comments. Let us know about how hot you find Genki Absol. I'm calling it. That's what that evolution's gonna be. That final evolution's gonna be Genki Absol or Salazzle.
Yeah, I can see that.
Just remember, Quaxley is guilty of war crimes.
I mean, Donald's probably guilty of war crimes, so yeah.
He can cast Zeta Flare. He is definitely guilty of war crimes. There was a Warner Brothers world in Kingdom Hearts. Active key phrase was. Listen. In Dark Souls 3, there's this guy called High Lord Walnir who took the crowns of every other king and ground them into dust and smelted it into his own crown. That is the crown that King Mickey wears.
The crown of 20th century Fox after their conquest.
This has been another episode of The Brave Room. Thanks so much for listening. Take care, guys.
Thank you.